this is one mechanism that I can say with confidence that has been most outcome oriented, has resulted in an actionable agenda, and every single meeting has provided new ideas, new initiatives, new suggestions, and more often than not, out-of-the-box ideas. His Highness Sheikh Hamid bin Zayed Al Nahyan, my co-chair on this HLTFI, and I reviewed the working of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, as you may recall, the world's fastest ever negotiated free trade agreement, and expressed deep satisfaction at the growing bilateral trade. India's export of labor-oriented sectors is growing very rapidly, and I'm very confident that CEPA will help Indian exporters, Indian industry, not only provide new business opportunities, earn valuable foreign exchange, but significantly provide for jobs for Indians. Another area which was discussed in great detail was the setting up of food parks in India. The background work is largely completed. Another area which will help farmers gain higher incomes, provide jobs in food processing for thousands, if not lakhs, of our Indian youth, and will also ensure the food security of UAE. We have agreed to set up a small working group between the central government, the state governments involved, and the UAE to take forward the establishment of the food corridor between the two countries on a mission mode basis. We have both reviewed the working of the bilateral, signing of the bilateral investment treaty, and we are hopeful that it will commence from an early date. It will come into operation from an early date. Oh, it has come into operation? It has come into operation on 31st August, and this will give a boost to the greater degree of investments that India seeks to receive from the United Arab Emirates. At long length, we discussed several emerging sectors like data centers and artificial intelligence, co-investing in renewable energy and transmission infrastructure for solar and wind power in India. We discussed significant ramp-up of UAE investments both in strategic sectors and core infrastructure opportunities, which were a follow-up to the many high-level engagements that have happened in the last 1 year. The Honorable Prime Minister visited Abu Dhabi in July 23 and again recently in February 24. His Highness, the President of the UAE, visited India during Vibrant Gujarat Summit in January 24, followed by a very successful visit of His Highness, the Crown Prince of UAE, last month. All in all, signifying the deep importance given to this relationship with a significant number of engagements at every level. We have also discussed during the HLTFI the setting up of Invest India and associated organizations office in UAE. We have, as you may be aware, started the first office in Singapore on 22nd of September, which was barely 10 days after it was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister of India and Singapore. I'm happy to share with you that the UAE has offered to provide free of cost the location for an office to be set up, which will promote investment, trade, and technology, and maybe at some later stage, tourism between UAE and India. Invest India, DGFT, NICDIC, the organization setting up 20 industrial parks in India, and ECGC for banking and insurance related issues. We expect all four to be participating in this office in UAE, and we have agreed, and I'm happy to share with you, that UAE will be setting up a similar office co-located with the Invest India office in New Delhi, which we will offer them free of cost. This will help create a single window of information, a single window for approvals, and a window of opportunity will open up between UAE and India with these two offices being set up. Just like we did in Singapore, let us see how quickly we can launch and start this office in UAE. We've handed it over to Ambassador Sudhir to take this forward on mission mode. Friends, we have also reviewed the progress in the $100 billion, rather $75 billion investment that was planned from UAE to India, which, when we discuss today, will fructify into nearly $100 billion investment in infrastructure, manufacturing, public markets, and various other forms of investment. The UAE has expressed satisfaction at Prime Minister Narendra Modi being re-elected for the third term, providing stability in policy and predictability in government policy and decision making. Given the strong relations between the two leaders, between the two governments and the businesses on both sides, we are very confident that the various initiatives that we have discussed today will result in significant ramp up of trade and investment. One other good news that I would like to share with you is the setting up of a campus of IIFT, the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, whose director recently visited Dubai, and at the location where we had the Dubai Expo Pavilion of India, which the UAE was gracious enough to allow us to retain. The IIFT will soon be launching some courses and gradually progressing to set up a full campus of the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, the first overseas campus of IIFT anywhere in the world. You are all aware that IIT has already set up a campus in UAE, in Abu Dhabi, and they will soon be offering courses in UAE also. So this is the next step in our mutual engagement on education. Friends, we also reviewed in detail the J1 partnership, that is the UPI partnership with the UAE AANI, where we have interlinked UPI and AANI to enable cross-border remittances and mutual trade between the two nations. Incidentally, the word J1 comes from the highest grade of pearls, and that is why UAE gave the name J1. J1 reflects the grade 1, highest grade of pearls in UAE. I was explaining to His Highness that look at the appropriateness of the name. Jai in India is victory, and we are celebrating Navratri, which will culminate in the victory of good over evil. One is the forest, which provides life and is important for sustainability. And Jivan, it's pronounced Jivan in UAE. Jivan is life itself. So I think whether it's coincidence or whatever, but the word has come out very appropriately, defining the India-UAE partnership. And we have discussed that we will be expanding the Jivan digital payment infrastructure between the two countries in the years to come very rapidly. And finally, Bharat Mart, which is being set up in Dubai to provide a large infrastructure for India's MSME sector particularly, to have showrooms and warehouses to stock their goods in UAE, which can then be sold in UAE and other parts of the world, Africa, other Southeast Asian nations, the Gulf region, Eastern Europe, or European countries. This can become a hub which will provide warehousing and showroom space for MSME sector in India. And from there, they can export to the world. We have already received about 9,000 expressions of interest of companies who want to go and set up over there. I'm delighted to share with you that their plans of Bharat Mart are ready, and very soon the groundbreaking of Bharat Mart will be done. The Honorable Prime Minister, when he was visiting UAE in February, has already launched Bharat Mart, and we'll soon see the work getting completed by 2026. Thank you, friends. And once again, very grateful to all of you for joining us today. Friends from Mumbai media, friends from Delhi media, warm wishes for Navratri, my good wishes for the festival season, Dasara, Bhai Dooj, Diwali, Chhat Puja, Christmas. The days ahead are going to be full of festivals, including the Festival of Democracy. Thank you. It has been under discussion for a very long time that UAE would like to invest in setting up food processing facilities in India to enable the availability of high quality products suitable to the UAE taste in India, using Indian farmers' products and to be sold in the UAE. This matter has been under discussion for quite some time with different arms of the UAE government and with different states in India. Now we are looking at progressing that faster to make sure that investments in food processing can come up in India with UAE investors, and the UAE market, along with the other Gulf market, being a ready export destination for products made in India. Yeah. How much investment? Approximately $2 billion is the initial commitment that UAE has made to invest in the food processing industry and the food park logistics that will be required to move the material to the Gulf, to UAE particularly. The UAE investment comes through two mediums. One is directly from UAE, which is in the region of about $20 billion. But they are also co-investing through several other funds across the world. So all the Blackstones and KKRs and BlackRocks of the world have large degree of investments from sovereign wealth funds of UAE, which then come to India through the large investment houses.
So Anurag from ET Now, how would the recently concluded investment treaty with the UAE complement the trade pact? We have CEPA with UAE. So how would that complement? That's my first question. My second question is that your plans to set up an office, Invest India to set up an office in the UAE. By when is this going to be operational? Where will this be in Dubai? And what are the goals are you looking to achieve?
Well, as regards the first question on CEPA and BIT interplay, it's a very natural fit when you are expanding trade and the UAE is not only a large market for Indian goods and services, they are also an intermediate market from where we supply to many other parts of the world. Therefore, a lot of UAE investors wish to invest in India in manufacturing, in logistics, in infrastructure, which then can help our exports through the CEPA to UAE. The BIT will provide stable and predictable policies and give comfort to investors who are looking to invest in India. The CEPA will provide duty-free access to markets in both the UAE and in India for products of interest. As regards the Invest India office, we have just taken that decision today. We have both mutually agreed that we will provide each other's office the necessary initial support. His Highness was gracious enough to spontaneously say that the government will provide space free of cost to Invest India and these organizations. I responded by offering space in Invest India office in India for the UAE office to be set up. Now we have challenged both the ambassadors to speed up the process, and the track record is available for you to see. Singapore opened in 10 days from the time it was decided by the two prime ministers. We'll try to do as soon as we can, given only the two major constraints that we have: festival season in India and we have an election coming up in Maharashtra. These two factors will have to be considered, and then we'll decide the date when we can do it. Yeah. We have a joint committee, trade committee, which works on these issues. These specific issues are taken up under that joint committee, and I believe they are going only next week. Next week, they have meetings in the UAE, for which our team is leaving very soon, and that will be taken up over there. This is a very high-level engagement where we look at policy and we look at the big picture. And of course, we also take up certain issues which we feel need to be escalated to our level. I've already discussed this issue with my counterpart and colleague and good friend, Dr. Thani Al-Zudi. And UAE has assured us that there will be nothing which will hurt India's business interests or trade interests, which will be allowed to seep in.
Official launch of RuPay card in UAE was there. So I want to know, of course, it is a joint task force for investment related matter, and how the success has been of this launch after that.
Mr. Narula, this is the first time such a project was ever embarked in, at least in Indian history, it's the first time, possibly also by the UAE. It was not launched in April 19. I suspect your date is not exactly correct. But it was a point that was discussed by me with my counterpart, His Highness Sheikh Hamid, sometime in March 21. The idea was first seeded and discussed only in March of 21 when I had gone for the UAE Expo. March 21 or 22? March of 22. You were there. March of 22 when I had gone for the conclusion of the Dubai Expo. That time we had a roving discussion with new ideas and this point came up. The MOU was signed on 5th of October last year when we had the high-level task force for investments between UAE and India. And it was launched in February this year. And Ambassador was telling me earlier when I met him day before yesterday that by next year, they expect that everybody in the UAE will be having a Jeevan card, which is connected to UPI and will be able to enjoy the fruits of UPI. Today, we have discussed how to expand the use of our common infrastructure and this interlinking also in India to promote more tourists to come from UAE to India and to, in a way, create a market for this joint UPI ANI enabled infrastructure to serve the larger region going beyond UAE and India.
Um,
Investment that you're looking at in food parks?
Well, I think investment is largely driven by considerations of business. And business opportunities in India are there for all to see. The world today is looking to come to India and invest. I believe that we don't do investments based on a gun to somebody's head or a timeline of that sort. Just like I've said, we don't do free trade agreements with a timeline before us because that's something that has to evolve in the best interests of both countries. Similarly, the investments will be drawn from business opportunities. Today, we had a very good engagement with our business leaders of CII, FICCI, and Indian Merchants Chamber with the business community of UAE. In fact, the number of visits that we've had bilaterally of business communities going both ways is probably the highest in India's history. The UAE-India business engagements in the last 12 months, almost every sector has led delegations to UAE, which has resulted in trade growth also. And I would think that $2 billion food park investment will happen in the next 2 or 2.5 years. But the overall investment is also a factor of the opportunities that Indian businesses are able to offer.
so,
Hi, sir. So I'm Amiti from Hindu Business Line. So India and UAE have managed to sign the BIT. It's a very big thing. So going forward, could this provide a framework for our other agreements? And sir, to what extent will things like expanding the coverage, these stocks and bonds, and also bringing down the time available for domestic solutions?
Madam, this subject is handled by the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
So I will not be in a position to give you a response
And
on this.
sir, just then the commerce bit. Sir, this BIT, to what extent do you think it will increase confidence and
BIT certainly helps to increase confidence amongst investors. It will certainly help to give a predictable and stable tax regime confidence and the ability to get recourse in case somebody feels that they have not got a fair deal. In fact, in the various issues we discussed today, some of our Indian companies believe that they have some issues with the UAE. And likewise, some UAE companies may have with India. So the BIT will help provide the framework by which both sides can resolve their issues.
Namaste, sir. I am Khushi Malhotra from Live Mint. My question is, in the first 12 months of CEPA, our bilateral non-oil trade had reached around $50.5 billion. Where does it stand now? And you had said that there's a $100 billion goal by by 2030. So do you see that getting accelerated?
I think the non-oil trade details are available with me. We'll be happy to share it with all of you. We can also put it into the press release. But I think it's about 54 billion. That's what, about 9% growth is what I was told. The total exports for non-oil products from India stood at $29 billion last year, and total imports from UAE, excluding petroleum products, stood at 31 billion. I think this figure needs to be verified. I'm not sure. I've just corrected it roughly. We'll just correct the figure and we'll give you the exact non-oil data. I'm not carrying it. I have the total trade data, which includes oil and gem and jewelry. That has gone up to $84 billion in 23-24. So we'll reach the $100 billion very quickly. And that's a good information. The trade deficit has come down from $22 billion to about $12 billion now, which shows the significant increase in our exports.
Thank you.
बोला गया था कि 10 लाख से ज़्यादा इंडियंस को जो है वहाँ पे जॉब मिलेगी, तो आज के रिव्यू में जो है किस तरह का जॉब फ्रंट पे क्या?
I think the number of people who work in आपने जो कहा, जितने लोग काम करते हैं भारत में, हम उन जॉब्स की बात ऑलवेज करते हैं. कभी भी हमने पहले ऐसा कोई अनाउंसमेंट नहीं किया है कि भारत से कितने लोग यूएई में जाके जॉब करेंगे. ये ऐसा कभी भी करार भी नहीं होता है, ऐसा कभी अनाउंसमेंट भी नहीं होता है. हमने जब भी बात की, हमने कहा है कि जब निवेश आएगा भारत में, तो उस निवेश के कारण भारत में कितनी नौकरियों के अवसर बढ़ेंगे. पर वैसे भारत के कई लोगों को यूएई में काम करने का अवसर मिलता है और वो बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, लगातार वो बढ़ते भी जा रहे हैं. आज के दिन 35 लाख लोग भारत के मूल भारत के यूएई में हैं, जो आज से शायद 2-3 साल पहले, 10 साल पहले 22 लाख थे, आज 35 लाख से ऊपर है. तो आप देख सकते हैं कि बढ़त बहुत है, लेकिन कभी भी कोई करार में या कोई बातचीत में इस आंकड़े पे कोई टारगेट या कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन, कोई हमारी तरफ से आग्रह नहीं रहता है.
मिडिल ईस्ट या वेस्ट एशिया में, तो आपका क्या आउटलुक है अपना जो ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स है वहाँ पर?
देखिए, गंभीर स्थिति है. पूरे दुनिया में दो युद्ध चल रहे हैं. रेड सी का क्राइसिस, हाउटीज का अभी भी प्रभाव खत्म नहीं हुआ है. एस्केलेशन होने की पूरी संभावना है, बढ़ने की पूरी संभावना है जो क्राइसिस मिडिल ईस्ट में चल रहा है. ऐसी परिस्थितियों को देखते हुए स्वाभाविक है कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यापार भी थोड़ा कमजोर हो रहा है, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बिजनेस कॉन्फिडेंस भी कमजोर हो रहा है. लेकिन भारत और यूएई के बीच लगातार जो बढ़त हो रही है, उसको देखते हुए मैं समझता हूँ हम सब के लिए बड़ा समाधान का विषय है कि इन सब समस्याओं के बावजूद यूएई और भारत के बीच संबंध भी सुधर रहे हैं और आगे की संभावनाएं भी बढ़ रही हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद भाई। प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस इज ओवर। जो मीडिया के बंधु आए हैं, कल मैं नवरात्रि देख के आया हूँ, खेल के आया हूँ मेरे क्षेत्र में। अगर आप में से कोई आज पूछ सके